Hey everybody, you will recognize the person I brought in on this one, my co-anchor Ira Cronin, because my husband is unwilling to go on camera ever and talk about anything, especially marriage and kids. And you're in such a different season of your life with older kids, so I thought it would be kind of interesting to talk about how marriage has changed since having kids, and then get a little advice from Ira too, because how old are your kids now?
21, 18, no, 22. Wow, see, the first thing is know your children better than I do, but maybe this is a husband-man thing. So 22, 19, and going on 17.
People ask me my kids' birthdays all the time. They're 1 and 3, and I'm like, subtract a year off this year. I don't know. And I'm about to have my third kid, so he has 3 girls. I think the third one's a boy, so it is a little bit different. And mine are so young that right now Ryan and I are like in the thick of it being really difficult in a whole nother sense than what you go through with teenagers.
Yeah, I would say it never gets easier, it just gets different. And so if you can learn to walk the balance, the relationship balance when the kids are young, it's the same thing, you just apply it to different problems when kids are teenagers. But I think it's a lot the same.
I feel like you almost hit your stride in kind of figuring out what you're doing in your marriage when your kids are about 2 years old, and then you pop another one out and then another one. But like right now I feel like we had our hard kid first. He was so colicky, never slept, so hard, and I was envious of all those parents who had their easy kids first, and it just pushes you to the brink of your marriage. It really does, especially a newborn.
Well, it just kind of comes down to the roles, and I think in general, I know speaking for myself and for husbands in general, you know, we like to be the center of attention of our wives. That's why we want to feel like we're special in that way all the time. And especially when you have a newborn,
you can't be,
that needs attention all the time, life or death, like they need it. Yeah, it's easy, I think, and I know it was easy for me oftentimes to feel like, oh, I'm not important here anymore.
And it's hard too as a wife, because as a woman, and we're just speaking in general terms here, it's so innate in you that your kids are your number one. I mean, you are their life source in the beginning, and you have to do everything for them. So it is easy to forget, like, that's my partner. Like, you need to make that person feel so important every day. And you get back into that a little bit with certain things. Like, I mean, Ryan makes the coffee pot set every morning. He makes sure like our house is secure and safe every night before he goes to bed. And he does things that leaves little notes every once in a while. And you just have to keep doing those for your spouse. But it's so hard. It is so hard when you're in the thick of it sometimes.
I think the fact that you're talking about it though, so like your New Year's vlog where you talked about making this a priority and being conscious of it as you're getting ready to go through another change is almost more than half the battle. Because if you recognize it and you're talking about it, you're aware of it.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes you're not aware of it until it becomes a problem. And then maybe the husband's feeling a little sad or left out, and then it's like, well, what's the problem? And with me, I knew the kids were the priority. I just couldn't get over that part of it that I didn't feel like the priority myself too.
This is communication huge again. Communication's always like the biggest thing in marriage, because otherwise what you're saying is like, to me I hear I'm a big baby and I need attention sometimes, and then I resent that.
No.
But I totally understand what you're saying too. And like for you guys, you're going a whole different route where you just dropped your second kid off at college.
Yeah.
You have to remember that soon, sorry Holly, you guys are going to be empty nesters soon, which means that like you have to work on that foundation so much from the beginning, from the get-go, in order to be able to find your relationship again.
Yeah. Well, and I think that navigating this issue where, and you hit it on the head, it's like, it's just a watermark. It's a high watermark that, we're one child away now from being just back to us. And but I think dealing with those emotions and the strains that it puts in a relationship is similar. So in a way, Holly and I have been navigating these issues of relationship amid children and stages for a while now. And as you know, I can be a little difficult sometimes. And we're finally, I think, getting better at it. But it's taken counseling. It's taken really kind of getting to the bottom of some of our own issues as a couple. That's really helped with that as well. So it's just kind of the same, but different now. But it is like, most of it's excitement. Like, hey, it's going to be just us again. But some of it is like, oh, it's just going to be us again.
What I have a question about too is you lose, I guess when your kids are gone, you kind of lose that everyday routine that we find so important with young kids, because kids really thrive on routine. But recently Ryan and I were driving to my parents' house, which is a couple hours away, and he was talking about it, and he's like, I'm so bored. Like, we wake up every day, we take care of the kids, we do this at this time, we do this at this time. I need something more in my life. Like, I feel like we didn't used to be like this.
Yeah. Well, what's romantic and spontaneous about a routine, especially centered around your child, which is what it has to be for the betterment of your children. But like, I think just for a relationship, it can suck the life out of it.
And that's like a big issue with marriage. Another thing that we are navigating right now is parenting styles. They're so different. Like, you are naturally going to have very different parenting styles because of your parents. And I think it's okay to have different parenting styles. I think the kids need it. But I also think it can cause like a few fights here and there if you have different parenting styles.
It's definitely, like, I know, Holly and I, there's been times where it's really created conflict because of how we each are handling a situation. But then, one of the times we were getting some marriage counseling in general, she said, look at this, really, your differences give your kids more perspective on how to deal with issues. And again, so it's understanding that, respecting each other, never working those issues out in front of the children, which is a habit you have to start when they're little.
That's so hard, too. Yes. That is hard, because I'm like, Ryan, don't say that to him. And he'll be like, Brie, don't do that. And it's like, stop doing it in front of the kids. Stop doing it. But my stepdad also told me the other day, he was like, Ryan had snapped at Maverick for something, because he is our ornery child. He definitely pushes the boundaries. But he had been like, Maverick, stop. And I'm like, just give him a second, Ryan. Let him breathe. And my stepdad was like, no, let Ryan do his thing. It's really important that kids see that from him, and then kids see like the more, like the patient, softer side from me, whichever parent that is that does those roles. But I do think that they need to see both sides.
Yeah, and it comes down to, for Holly and I, she would say it's kind of like good cop, bad cop.
Yep.
Like, she'll be more bad cop and I'll be more good cop.
Oh, imagine that. Ira plays good cop.
I know. She's like, stop trying to be their friend. Yeah, that's the thing. She'll say, you stop trying to be their friend. That doesn't help them. And I'll say, you're right. Maybe it does help them in a way, but she's also right. She shouldn't always have to be the bad guy. Right. And that's where she and I having those discussions have helped us grow.
I will say, I have the longer term patience. It will take me longer to break with my children. Yeah. However, when they break me, Mama doesn't have patience anymore. Sometimes I need to lock myself in a closet, in a bathroom. I don't care. Right. I need a breath. Where Ryan has a much shorter fuse, but when he's in that moment and angry, he can keep control so much better. I just that's where we can play off of each other, and I am glad that we have discovered that about one another. Money. Let's talk about money a little bit. Finances. That changes a lot when you have kids, and that's something that you're going to differ on with your spouse as well. You have to learn how to kind of spend the same and save the same. But your money ain't your money anymore.
Well, let's face it. I mean, when we talk about things that cause married couples problems, it's money and it's sex. And maybe for others, it's sex and money. And I think most therapists would tell you, these are the big items of conflict in a relationship and what can cause so many problems. And these are just intensified with children and trying to manage all that.
So Ryan's big on, okay, we got to save for their college. We got to save, and I want to help my kids with college, but I also want them to learn work ethic. They need to have some jobs and work in college and pay for some of it. Right. And that's where I come from. I understand his perspective. They need to concentrate on studies, and he still, of course, wants them to have that work ethic and everything. Yeah. But just everyday life, sometimes you're like, okay, we got to pull money from there because the kids need this. We got to pull from there. So when you don't have kids, it's kind of a free-for-all. You're traveling, you're having fun. When you have kids, you tighten that belt a little bit.
This gets back to everything we were talking about at the beginning. Routine, structure, or free-for-all, whether it's finances, relationships, romance, any of that.
Yeah, then sex, we don't even need to say it. My OB said half as much, twice as hard. And that's about it for the first couple of years right there.
I don't know what that means. Moving on. It's for me, the hardest thing was enjoying the stage they're in. Yeah. So when they were in diapers and young and you could contain them and they were so sweet and innocent, I kept thinking, hurry and get out of these diapers because I'm tired of changing your diapers all the time. And then, when they're in those kind of middle, 3 to 8, it's kind of you got to watch them so close. And and but they're still so nice generally, or they'll say things that just melt your heart, and then they turn into teenagers.
That's harder because 3 right now is.
It's
that
just
is
different.
hard.
No, it's just different problems. It's just different things they say, friends, social media.
Yeah.
I mean, you talked about that already. You know, right now he just wants to play games. Wait till, you know, Maverick's getting texts on his phone that so-and-so's being mean to me, or I saw on Snapchat, or someone sent me a text, and it's just like another layer. So just enjoy and learn from each stage. I wish I had enjoyed each stage more, because now I find myself, like I just put Sydney off to college, and I kept thinking, And I remember when she was like 8, she was so sweet, and she was so innocent, and you do miss it. But it's about, you also have to embrace the new stage, and I'm so excited to see what she's gonna do, and she's got so much potential. And yes, you always worry. You just kind of have to let it play out.
That scares me. I mean, at least you have girls, so you know they're coming back, right? I have boys, and I'm so scared they're gonna leave because you raise them. You raise them to leave.
They'll come back. You do. You have to.
I didn't even have them. No, but Ira and I get to talk about a lot of this in the makeup room when we're getting ready in the morning, or at our desks, or commercial breaks. You have to vent to somebody, or just go through the problems, and also like the milestones that the kids are reaching, and they're so different in their ages right now. And 3 for me has been probably the most fun, but also the hardest age for sure, because they're getting their own little personality, and they know what they want, but they're also like, you can talk to them and have a good time with them and show them stuff, and they're learning something new every day. So I'm really trying to enjoy the different stages of life, but like they say, the days are long and the years are short.
Well, I think the best thing that I've heard you say, that is never advice I would be smart enough to come up with on my own to give to you, is that as we've been talking about things, and I've mentioned a couple times when Holly and I have reached a point where we said, we need someone else to help us work it out. Yeah. Where you said, right now we kind of see the problems in front of us. We haven't had any big problems, and maybe we should go to counseling now to establish that, and it really can be a powerful tool for a relationship. Just
like a road of communication.
Absolutely.
So that if we do run into those roadblocks, we know. And it's hard to sign up for counseling and find the right counselor, because you do have to find the right counselor that speaks to both of you. And I know finances play into that as well, but I feel like that is such a good investment. And I learned that from you when you guys were going through some trials, and it's like, I definitely saw you come on top when you went to the counseling.
Relationships, I think, are never easy. Just take 2 people. Challenges, add in children, and it's beyond times 10 challenges, but the same principles get you through.
It's also amazing though, because you guys are going through the same thing that only you 2 will ever go through, because every kid has a different personality, so no one knows your kids like you do. So it makes you weather like the hardships together, and really become a stronger team than you ever thought you could be, if you take that route.
Yep, you're exactly right. I say that a lot too. She's exactly right.
This is why I brought him in on this one. Stress triggers?
Yeah, what does your wife do that triggers you to be stressed out?
Are you trying to get us in trouble now?
No. I already talked about this.
Or like how to discuss stress triggers with each other.
Oh, you know what? Fair fighting. Fighting.
Yeah, there you go.
That's something that I'm actually going to link to. I found a really cool article online, and you can catch that in my blog portion of this, that's going to talk about fair fighting and the way to go about it, what to avoid, what to let go, and then how to talk about it in a constructive manner. And that's something that's hard to do in the moment. So read it before you're angry. It's something I'm trying to work on a lot right now too. Is constructive fighting. And I'm sure you guys have been through that before.
Well, and one of the things that I know you and I have talked about in the makeup room, and just as a course of our friendship, is you want to change the other person when conflict arises, whether it's parenting or just your spouse or your partner. You can only ever change yourself. And recognizing that, and then trying to attack problems that way, is one of the biggest things we've learned and are still working on, that we've taken from counseling.
Like I told you the other day, I'm like, okay, I finally had to come to the realization: do I want to be happy or do I want to be right? I mean, it's good to stand up for yourself and everything, but sometimes you don't need to be right about the cereal box that was left in the pantry, or you don't need to be right about just be happy. Yes. Just be happy. That's what I'm thinking. And I appreciate you coming in here talking about marriage, getting yourself maybe in a little trouble with Holly. But
it's all true.
It's all true.
I'm constantly in trouble anyway, on one level or another.
And you can check out all the subjects that we talked about and everything else in the blog portion of this. Thanks for watching.